Okay, I can't believe I'm actually doing this on the same day, but here I am. I am going to go ahead and do my ink and paint. Okay, now this guy is going to be just one drawing, so that's pretty easy. I guess we'll go ahead and use the default for the color. 2 to 6 is what we want, so that's good. And just gonna okay, a little bit of a flaw right there. Let's really zoom in. This guy's supposed to be kind of a Spider-Man kind of guy. He's not got much in the way of discernible features. Okay, we never see his hands, so no point drawing them. Not today. Close that shape. Okay. Yep, here I am singing the Smurfs theme again. La 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 la. So it's been a good day so far. I hope you guys weren't too freaked out by my last video on screenwriting. I mean, it was definitely a little bit off topic. I mean, if you were expecting nothing but anime, but of course everything about that video applies perfectly well to anime, animation, cartoons, whatever. You gotta have a story. Anybody will tell you if you're gonna make a film, you gotta have a script. There's no getting around it. And it's not just in other words, it becomes something that the project and the team involved with the project really coalesce around. It's pretty important, actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is go Control-C, Control-V. This is going to be black, so I actually want to make this more of a charcoal, and then this should be very simple and straightforward. All right, and we'll go Control-C, Control-V, and give him some not quite white eyes. But there you go. I mean, there's Spider-Man, dude. Done. All right, so this column, let's just delete it. Why even keep it in there? You know, we got what we needed. And so now on to this guy. So let's turn this one off, turn this one on, but crank it down in opacity. Go to another level, just hit the B key, boom. So we're drawing now. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, which is just use the default ink. It's a pretty simple, shot. And I'm going to start out by getting this correct. I'm going to change the orientation of his eyes, if you will, so that he's kind of looking out at the audience a little bit more than the way I initially had him. But he's a bit of a caricature as well. We don't really see this guy's ears. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom out a bit. Actually hit the N key. So now I'm operating at actual size. The real frames appear. Okay, there's the wrap around his neck. And then, as we described in the earlier video, this is pretty foreshortened. And we'll go ahead and make sure that shape is closed. And same thing here, I'm just going to go like that just to make sure the shape is closed. He doesn't get animated, so basically what we see here is all we ever see of him. So he's got these wraps on his arms, and here, got the nunchucks, hands, fingers, right here. We'll just go like that and put a little indicator there for the actually, let's go like this, because he actually does have these black wrap things, and I want to go ahead and give a thumb indication there. Same thing on that guy, or on that hand. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Actually, that needs to come back out of there. I don't know why I keep making my eraser bigger and Opentoonz keeps making it smaller. So these are not the most, let's just say, badass nunchucks you ever saw. I don't like that. Let's make this a little bit more looped out like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and make this a fillable shape. I think that will be well advised. 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's take a peek. Well, got a few things to deal with up here, don't we? A little bit of texture there. A little bit of, well, I guess texture is a good word for it. Boom. Okay, now let's deal with color. And we're going to need hair, skin. Hold on, I'm going to... Stupid allergy season. Wraps, nunchucks, and that might be it. That might be all there is. So I'm going to go ahead and just close that shape right there, and I'm going to make this, as I did before, more of a charcoal. And let's just do a fill here and a fill here, and then let's change that color to what it's supposed to be, which is kind of a purplish kind of thing. Now this could be his costume, so let's just pull out and see what we got here. Costume. Stop. Okay. Well, alright, that shape was closed. That shape apparently is not closed. So I'm going to go here and go in here and look at what's going on. Looks like there's our issue. Okay. I'll bet you it fills now, and indeed it did. Alright. Fill that. Oop. Stop. Again, we have a leak. So, I mean, this is just life. This is something you have to be careful of. You're going to have leaks here and there. And we try not to, but okay, so now I'm going to just go like that. And then get ourselves a flesh tone. Like so. This is black. This is flesh tone. This is going to be actually the blue color that we've been using all along for these fellas wraps. We don't see this one, so we can just leave that as it is. Thumbs obviously are skin tone. Control C, Control V. Alright, so I'm just making this a different color, so I can then go in and say, well, it's going to be sort of a woodish color, isn't it? Something like that. Obviously, we've got these spots in between here. And then there's the leather strap, which I'm going to actually just use the same color here at first. And then we'll go in and say, well, would that be slightly lighter or slightly darker? My sense is that darker is more realistic, but for visibility, it seems like that makes more sense. So let's go with that. All right, and then let's make it just a little more saturated. Okay. feel like this guy really needs a shadow layer, but I'm going to delete that level. File, save. Yeah, obviously this guy, since he's all black, he doesn't need a shadow layer, but I think this guy kind of sort of does. So let's go B key, boom. And what we're going to do is we'll just use that. And I'm going to hit the V key, which is the paintbrush as opposed to the brush. And I'm deliberately keeping this really simple. Okay, so now if we go down here and tweak the alpha, we get that extra level of shadowing on the guy. And again, deliberately trying to keep it extremely simple. So we'll go ahead and shadow that a little bit. And I think that would be useful. I want to make sure I hit the V key and not the B key. I won't get into it right now, but there's a reason for that has to do with the way Opentoonz keeps track of lines versus filled areas of color. So for my purposes, I think if I hem that in with the paintbrush, yeah, I can do that. And so we'll just go ahead and kind of sort of make it work. And then let's pull back a bit and see if that looks okay. Yeah, it does. I think it's alright. Okay, so now the only question is, do we want to make the shadowing a little more aggressive? I kind of like just about there. Now, by the way, I do believe I don't believe I ever colored his eyes. So I'm going to do two colors. One's going to be kind of a blue, and the other one's going to be almost white. So we want to go fill that, and then and I think to make it seem a little more ominous, I'm gonna lighten that color. Yeah, I like that. There we go. In fact, let's just have a little fun and push it slightly towards the green, just for no real apparent reason. Now, also in the shadow layer, I'm going to do the opposite, Control-C, Control-V, and add a layer of, or a palette entry for white. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this with the brush, not the paint brush. Just give it a little texture, and then roll back the alpha. I probably should hit the N key, so I'm seeing actual size. So I just want to ease that in, so it just kind of sort of feels good. Now, one issue is this color. This is not quite right. It's a little saturated, and it seems to me it was pushing slightly more towards the pinkish purplish. So I think that'll work. So File, Save All. And I'm going to go ahead and kill those two guys. so that I can turn this on. Turn his opacity down, and now, same thing again. It's time to do some doodling. So we'll stretch that down to there. And now here's where I want to become quite careful. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now here, I don't really see any better option than to just do it that way. Okay, that wasn't right. Okay. Nice. I'm just going to kind of stick to the plan here, much as possible. Not get too creative with it, since I was pretty careful to do those finished pencils. Now, I said I wasn't necessarily going to stick to the plan on this hilt. In point of fact, I am just going to stick to the plan. I'm going to allow it to have that extra level of detail. Okay, this is for the wraps. And we've got a wrap here, obviously. So at the current pace, gosh, it's been 17 minutes. I'm thinking this should be able to be done in about 30 minutes. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so now let's pull out a little bit and try to do that rather boldly and see if we get lucky, and it looks like we did. Okay. Wraps. And I'm going to save all right now so that I can flip the canvas, because I think I'm going to do a better job on his hand if I do it from this orientation. Just because I'm right-handed, you know. Okay, close that up. Thumb shape. Wrap. A little bit of detail in the wrap. A little bit of bicep right there. Okay. H key, flipping the canvas again. And I do want to close that shape so that it can fill properly. And obviously we've got a glitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually that's not a glitch. Once that's colored, that'll look right. Okay, zoom out. Okay, so one thing we will have to do is use probably the paintbrush tool to color his eyes in. Alright, so I'm just going to hit the B key so that we are starting from scratch with our doodle, our ink. or knuckles. One, two, three, 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's close our shapes. Boom, boom, boom. What I'm not doing here is drawing the 3-dimensionality of it. Basically keep that flat for the purposes of this. Okay, pop back out. Alright, just for kicks and giggles, I'll go ahead and draw that, since that's kind of sort of theoretically what would be there, even though we don't see it. Now the reality is we have a lot of latitude on this particular drawing, for the simple reason that it's only going to be on the frame, or on the screen, for 2 frames. Okay. And this should actually be more like that. Pretty much. There's the wrap. There's the other wrap. Close that. Close that shape. Get that wrap going, as well as that one. Little bit of a delineation of the bicep. And then we can go in and deal with the guy's face. So push in. Looks like things are slightly out of balance here, so I'm going to lower that eyebrow situation, or eyelid situation, just a little bit. Let's flip that and see if it looks okay. It doesn't really. Let's just fix it. So I'm not quite. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be better. I think that'll work. Okay. A little bit of a fix up there. B key. Okay. Yeah, so I'm sort of noticing a slight imbalance there. Alright. I'm going to just do it as simply as possible. A little bit of a Mr. Potato Head angry eyes going on. Alright, zoom out, and boom. Okay. So it looks like we never actually do see his spiky hair situation. My hand sort of got caught there by the dragging on the tablet, and boom. So we'll just go ahead and go like that. It doesn't matter. Like I said, we're never going to see it, so it doesn't make sense to sweat things you're never going to see. Looks like everything's good. And now 1, 2, 3, just mechanically cranking this out. It's a fairly detailed drawing where it's pretty clear on what I was doing, so there's no point rethinking it. A little bit here on his thumb. He's got these little wrap things. Okay. So yeah, a little bit of a correction there on the wraps. Boom, boom. Time to zoom out, see what we've got. Okay, so we have to close this shape for his body wrap. Okay, stop, back up. That was really not good. Alright, we got that and that. Zoom in. Okay. Almost done with the ink. And then we'll be able to do the paint. And then the shot will be done. Okay. Not real happy with this. Let me see what I can do with that. Yeah, I think I like that better. Let's just hit the eraser and patch that up. This is probably a little too rounded. So we'll smooth that out a bit. Now let's zoom in, see what we've got. Okay. I think that works. And then we got his blade. Boom. Oh, shoot. What happens is I go to make a line and my finger accidentally presses against the button on the stylus. Nope. Okay, I didn't mean to hit the A key. B key and then Z. Alright, zoom in. Did it close? Close, not quite. Okay, save. And turn these guys back on, I suppose. L key. Yeah, and he just kind of comes forward, and that's that. The one thing I see missing is this little bit of action right here. Okay, so now we're going to have his costume, hair, skin, eyes, iris, wraps, sword, hilt. Probably something like that. So we'll make this a little bit charcoal, and then we'll just kind of dive in by dealing with the obvious things, meaning his costume, and really I need to turn these two guys back off again. Okay, and we've already run into a problem. Already ran into a problem. Okay, how did I manage this? Oh, I'm on the wrong level there, dude. Close that. And now let's just jump between them. Okay, I think I'm safe. I think I'm safe. I don't know if I'm safe, but I think I'm safe. Is that all of it? I think it is. Back. Boom, boom. 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 Probably that should be black. Okay, so let's make this the wrap color. And for now I'm just gonna make like that, because what I'll be able to do is put the other ninja in the shot and match their color that way. So coming back. Okay, obviously detail on the wraps is missing. That's fine. We'll get it back here in just a second. So let's grab the ink color, turn on the brush, and then go to this shot right here, or this drawing. Okay, and it looks like I failed to color this, and in coloring it I see that this too is lacking those details. So okay, how in the heck did the sword become... Okay, stop right there. See that? You got to go in and catch those. You got to like be... Ain't no compromise. Got to get that right. Alright, back up. Now for my purposes, I can use this color also for his eyes, actually. So, okay, really? Really, folks? That's what's going to happen? Are we actually that horrible when it comes to having closed our shapes? Well, it appears we are. It appears that this is comedically ridiculous how bad I did on closing my shapes. But, okay, there we go. Back on track, folks. Back on track. Alright. Boom, boom. Gee, are we 3 for 3? Ah, we did better that time. Good. Alright, so now this is going to be... actually, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do it here. There's some skin. Got some skin happening. Right. And backtrack. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, got a problem. Got to draw a line there so this can fill properly. Okay. And then same thing here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the guy's hair. What the heck? And I believe his hair was kinda sorta this color. So let's make it dark enough so that the lines kinda show up. Okay, that's all there is to that. So now what we need to do is deal with eye color. And I'm going to put on the paintbrush. Stop. Okay, you see this little thing right here? My paintbrush is filling lines in areas. I only want to fill areas. See that? And that was too sloppy. Actually, I probably could use the fill. Yeah, I'll use the fill tool. Same situation here. Same situation here. And now, what I want to do is... Gotta make this a little smaller. So I'm gonna fill that like that, and then go like that. Oh, come on. So using the paintbrush it's a useful tool, but it can also be a bit of a pain in the rump. It really is, definitely. As you see right there. So, but that's okay. So now we go in here. Oops, wrong color there, Jack. Okay, close that, close that, close that. Make sure that's closed, and now we should be able to use the fill tool. There you go. Okay, so now having done that, okay, now that's really annoying. Okay, there's an explanation for this. This is a real deficit in Opentoonz. If the border of a filled area is only done with the paintbrush tool, then the fill tool does not respect the border. So I actually have to go in here and tighten up the bottoms of these eyes with the flesh tone as well. Otherwise it'll keep overwriting the eyes. It's a little bit goofy. Definitely goofy. So you would think because that's closed in, I should be able to hit the fill tool here, but nope, you can't. So you have to basically do double duty with the paintbrush tool, which in this case means I need to do double duty with the red, which of course his eyes are not going to be red. We're going to change their color here shortly. But okay. So now it should fill properly, which it did. And it did. A little touch up right there. And it did. Okay. So now we zoom out and we can see a few flaws. B key. Whoops. B key I said, not V key. The V key is the paintbrush, and I need not the paintbrush, but the quote-unquote brush. Okay, so now we need a mid-tone and a dark tone. So here's the mid-tone. Boom, boom. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually make those a little darker. And maybe I don't need the third tone. Okay, I do. What I'm going to do is just the hilt right there on that particular shot. Okay, so now his pencil drawing, let's just delete it. We don't need it. File, save all. Turn these guys back on. And hit the L key. Okay. Now, frankly, what I want to do now is go back to Blender. Look at the original version of that shot. I want to make sure this one is actually better. And truth is, it's better, but not by much. Not by much. We definitely need to add a shadow layer to this guy. So B key, boom. Alright, and what we'll do is we'll turn the alpha here down quite a lot, and then we're going to hit the V key and just go through here and start adding some shadow action going on. I'm not going to really knock myself out trying to well, normally with a shadow layer I would also mask it so that you can't run outside the lines. In this case I think I'm just gonna be careful so I stay inside the lines. We'll see how that goes. If it backfires, we'll just do a little bit of mathematical wizardry. So here what I want to do is go like this, so I can hem that whole area in, and hopefully that will fill. And it did. Okay, and let's do the same thing here. Let's just draw a line across like that. Like that. Fill that in. And I guess as long as we're here, let me show you a different way to do this. You could go Control C, Control V. You could like add some red here. And on this one, click Auto Paint for Lines. And now what I can do is just go like this, like that. And when I fill it with this, it automatically erases the red lines for me. So that's definitely a handy, very anime-ish way to handle shadow situations. Boom, boom. Get the idea? It's quite handy actually. Auto Paint for Lines works really well most of the time. It's not a 100% kind of deal, but it's definitely pretty good. Okay. So since we're having nothing but fun, and by the way, I need to come back here right now and fix this. This is stupid. We're just going to give him sort of darkish blue eyes, or do we want to give him brown eyes? Let's give him blue eyes. Pretty sure this guy had blue eyes. Well, okay, put it this way: in the old version, he had blue eyes. So we'll stick with that. There we go. Back to the shadow layer. Good time to save early, save often. And now, see where the auto paint for lines comes in handy is things like this. Like I say, well, I want to have like a shadow area right there that's kind of a tricky shape. So yeah, it's definitely handy. Okay, so let's go to the next key. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the B key and create those keys by starting to draw. Okay, and then let's go ahead and kind of keep doing what we're doing since we're having absolutely nothing but fun using auto paint for lines to do our shadows today. That was a little sloppy, wasn't it? Now, because the costume is actually black, I can kind of get away with a lot here in terms of overstepping the black areas. So I'm going to actually do this like this. I think that'll be okay. And really, frankly, I'd like to put this in shadow and have it sort of shadow his hand a little bit. And as long as we're here, let's do our little trick we did before and see what happens. So now we're going to go fill, 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 fill. Nice. Not bad at all. Okay, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. B key. A little bit on the ear there. A little bit on the ear. I'm going to actually go ahead and do a little bit of a shadow area here too, because this is the hold. This is the shot that holds, so we probably want to be a little more meticulous about doing a nice shadow situation. Okay, so here we're going to have kind of the same thing we did before, so it runs the contour of his hand, and I'm going to go ahead and add a shadow area right there. Okay, so now we're obviously below the page, so for that reason we can sort of cheat here a lot. Put this under his hand, get the edge of his thumb, and I think that will do the trick. Oh, well, except for this right here. Okay, let's see if I'm right. Wow, okay. This is apparently not a closed shape. That was wacky. Alright, let's see if that did it. Okay, that's better. Oh, come on. Come on, as my friend Donio, the late great Donio, used to say. Well, that's what happens when you hurry. And yeah, right there's your leak. Leak. Not sure what to think about that one. So there we go. We've learned about auto paint for lines. Definitely a useful technique. Not always mega useful, but once in a while for sure. Okay, so one thing I'm complaining about a little bit here is this guy. Yeah, this guy's eyes absolutely not working. Why? Well, pretty simple actually. In the original version of this, his eyes were dots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the V key and just fill that in, and then go like that. Yeah, so now it seems like he's looking more in the same direction as the other guy, which is kind of what we want. And frankly, it wouldn't kill the guy to have some eyebrows. Right? Okay, L key. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and make the hardness quite soft. Sheesh. Just putting in a little bit of detail. Little bit of detail. Okay, so probably the case could be made that back here we really should be putting his eyes completely in shadow, because that's where he lands. Now that's not like a rule, but I think it probably will look better. I'm also going to go ahead and put a little shading under here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to add a tint. Actually, you know what? Let's skip the tint layer. Let's just we'll just add a color correction curves in Blender in the edit. So for that reason, I'm going up and looking at my background images, and frankly, I think this one would be a good one to use here. So let's load that. Oh, okay, so that loaded the whole kit and caboodle. I forgot that these background images were in fact an image sequence. So is that the one I wanted? No. I believe that is actually the one I wanted. So 12. So I'm going to take 12, pop that over there, just delete this level. And then hopefully I can just extend that down there and then move this to the left so it's behind them. Now we're cropped to the camera view. You can see it's definitely going to have to be darkened. Save all. But basically, not too shabby. Now, one question I have is, in Krita, I've been getting some mileage out of motion blur on tweens. My question is, should I take this and pop this over here, and let's just call this tween? Okay, now that's interesting. Hold on a second, let me see what's going on here. Why would that have a different... Okay, so I've hit a mystery here. This is one of those places where oh, I see what happened. Okay, got it. That went to 11. What the heck is 11? One shot? That's weird. Oh, I see. Okay. Delete that, move that there, and extend that there. Sorry, I really was having a brain fart. It's one of those dyslexia moments I talk about sometimes. Okay. Yeah, okay. And the reason I did that, I'll show you. All I'm doing here is I'm going to hit, I believe I want to hit F3, and then what I'll do, so you guys aren't like wondering what the heck's going on, I'm going to go to my other screen and switch this here. So now I'm in the FX interface, and I'm looking for the layer called tween. And inadvertently, I lost that change, so I'm going to go tween, so that when I come back here, I can find it. Okay, there's tween. And then what I wanted to do is add an effect, and it's going to be a blur, motion blur. Okay, so now I'll tweak the parameters of it offline, so you won't really see it. But if we turn on preview and we double-click motion blur, let's just see what happens. Let's put it at 100 so it's ridiculous and see what happens here. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so the reason that didn't work is because motion blur does not blur a single image based, just as a simulated motion blur. So that's my bad. What motion blur does in Opentoonz is it motion blurs material that has been actually animated with the animate tool. So what I really need is a directional blur. Directional blur lets me, there, now we see it correctly. Okay, so now if I double click that, intensity, let's kind of crank it up a little bit. Let's say 6. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's cool. Now I've put a motion blur just on the tween so that when it moves, you just get that nice blur there. Now I'm going to crank it up even hotter, frankly. I want to see what I can get away with here. So first of all, let's do bidirectional. No, I don't want to do bidirectional, but I do want to crank this up to like 10 millimeter and see what it does. Just to see how we like it. So I like it. I think it looks pretty good. Okay. So now, like I said, we'll just render this, cut it into the shell, and then we'll add some color correction in Blender. But I think basically we're good to go. I'm going to look at my other screen here and see, excuse me, the original shot went from 7345 to 7367. So 22 frames. And this is 1 second, which is 24 frames. So we're safe going ahead and rendering this as it is. And so we hit Control R. Hello, Opentoonz. I said render. Okay, that's interesting. Why is that image changing completely when I go into preview mode? That's a real weird one. That's a weird one. But okay, that's all right. Just hit Control R. And frankly, that background right there is closer to the one that was in the original shot, so I'm not going to sweat that. Okay, so this is actually shot number 90. So now here, I'm going to go into L Anime Render, and this is going to be 0090.mp4. And go. Okay, so that's going to render. And then we're going to jump up here to Blender, and in my other window where you can't actually see right now, I'm going to my render folder, and I'm going to look for 90.mp4. So bear with me, folks, while I look up 90.mp4. Drag that over here like so. Yeah, not horrible, not horrible. And then on the strip, I'm going to add a modifier that's going to be a curves. Typically for this scene, this is a curve setting that's been kind of typical. Let me bring it up just a little bit for these guys. Yeah, and I actually don't want that node in there. I just want to keep it simple. So let's see how it plays now. Let's pull back a little bit. And oh yeah, so I actually just, if you can believe this, I just created that lens flare in Blender 2.28. So that's like an 18 to 20 year old version of Blender. But I've been using Blender so long, I knew how to do a lens flare real quick, and I didn't want to have to think. So anyway. Okay, not bad, not bad. It seems to me that I should re-render this and make the guy's outlines a little bit lighter. So so basically, let's transition back to here. So yeah, as you can see, and by the way, I mean technically, I have the latitude here, thankfully, to be selective about it. Like, for example, Mr. Spider-Man looking guy, we could bring his down to about there, because they all have separate outlines. So I would say this guy, he's probably close to okay. And then this guy, seems to me it's a little bit on the light side. Let's just ease it in a little more. A little more gently. Like that. And then, okay, so now what I'll do is, if I render this, it's going to not be able to save the MP4 because it's open right now in Blender. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go File, Save in Blender, and go File, New. Okay? That way the file is closed, and I can go back here and go ahead and render this guy, save it, render, and we wanted 90. So let's jump up to 90. 90.mp4. There it is. Save over it. Yes. So that should re-render it. And now when I simply jump back to the video edit, we see slightly more tamed colors. Now we could have done that in Blender, frankly, with the curves node, but it would have required a fair amount of fiddling. Okay, so now one thing I want to do here, by the way, is she's sitting on that pose too long. Yeah, so I really want to have these guys start sooner. Now I may have to actually shorten the... Actually, what happens here? Yeah, okay. I think for the moment we'll leave that as it is. Okay, so this poor guy gets kicked and smashed up pretty bad by Akari. So with that, I would say we've done well. Ink and paint looks good. And so that's going to be it for this shot. That's another hour today. It's been a pretty busy day. And as I often say, folks, there will be more later. So thanks for tuning in.